Hi, everybody. This is Gertrude Mache again here in sunny Wellington, New Zealand. I am here on the Her Story podcast interviewing another amazing woman by the name of Vanya Erickson. Vanya, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I know we've had a bit of a giggle this morning with our upside down experience with the computer.
Yes.
I'd love you just to tell everybody exactly who you are, where you're based, and just share with us your story this morning.
Okay. Well, I'm Vanya Erickson, and I am here on the left coast of the United States, Santa Cruz, California. And my story, I guess my question is, shall I begin with topics from my youth, or are we speaking about things that have affected me as far as grief is concerned?
That's where I think I would love you to focus, because you have a pretty amazing story there.
Yeah. Okay. When my second daughter was born, she was with me for about 7 weeks, and then quite suddenly, of course, as this would be, passed away from sudden infant death syndrome. And the circumstances were such that her big sister, who was only 3 years old at the time, and I found her together. So this was a tremendously traumatic experience in that I was trying to protect my daughter as well as take care of the situation, not knowing if baby Emily was gone, what to do. And it has played over and over in my mind for, I would say, daily. I am now 64, and it's as if it just happened yesterday. But the point is that with that experience came an incredible gift to work with people, whether it was in hospice or, which is what I eventually ended up doing, but working with students who have had losses in their family, friends and family as someone is passing. It's been an experience where I've been able to help others work through the trauma of it. So, in specific, it might have been, for instance, we've had in my family, for whatever reason, some sense of premature loss. My sister's son passed away at 39. I was there at his deathbed. We chatted. There was such a sense of peace about what he was experiencing, and at the same time, his concerns about did he do the right thing in life, this kind of thing. For me, it was my moment to be able to give back to the people who helped when I was going through so much, many, many decades before that. Is that making sense?
It does make a lot of sense. So your personal experience helped you reframe the concept of death in some way. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
For me, well, after I lost Emily, I would have dreams where I was walking with someone, and it felt as if I was helping them pass on, and I could never figure it out. I would wake up and, talk to my husband about it, and he'd say, gosh, that sounds like it would be a pretty scary thing, but he didn't understand that it was incredibly peaceful, and I felt like I was helping, and the person I was helping was also helping me, and perhaps get over, work with the grief, because we all know that, once a trauma like this happens, the grief never goes away. Our society tries to tell us that if we do X, Y, and Z, or take these pills, or become that religion, that your trauma is going to leave, and it doesn't. Let's be honest, it doesn't. it can diminish. You can diminish by doing lots of different things, but for the most part, it's a very strong memory. It's part of you, and it's helped me see that these traumatic experiences have always framed me. They've made me who I am, and they've made me very clear about working with people who are dying and expressing all of it, whether it's writing letters to their loved ones because they can no longer do that, or it's playing music that they've always loved. Or I have one gentleman who I've danced with. Okay, he was in a wheelchair. He didn't dance, but I turned on the big band music and he was dancing with me. And so it's a sense of just opening up to the possibility of what this whole life experience gives us, the life and the death and the everything in between, in trying to connect with people, because community is really what it's all about.
Wow. And it's interesting that you've managed to transmute a very painful life experience into something extremely positive, empowering and helping those who are crossing over, and also the families that are left behind.
Yes.
It's turned into a vocation of yours. So what advice would you give someone who has lost a child, a partner, a sibling, who's going through that grieving process? What are the 3 nuggets of wisdom that you can impart this morning?
Okay, 3 nuggets. I have about 7, but let's go to 3.
Give us 7. That's fine.
I would say, first of all, it's to understand that you never completely heal from it. It is part of you, and to embrace that, because that makes you who you are. It gives you depth. It helps you help other people, and it's also a community. The community of grievers. I mean, we're all community of grievers. Everyone's lost someone, but find your community, I would say, is really important. When you've had a loss, find people who you can talk to, and they can talk to you, and you can share your experiences. For me, it's the writing. Writing has done a lot to find that community and to write about the stories that are difficult. Yes. And really face them. It helps. It does relieve some of the pain to be able to communicate in that way. But the community is for me the biggest thing. Of course, sharing in any way you can. Some people act things out. Some people paint. I would say using art to express your feelings. For me, that happens to be with writing, but it could be anything. Maybe you sing. My sister, who lost her son, is a singer, and the more she sings and the more gigs she does, she feels some sense of relief.
Yeah.
So that's really important. I would say too that getting outside, being in places of nature, are ways to calm that sense of stress or freak out or compounded. Sometimes the memory of the loss comes out of nowhere like a stray bullet, and you have you fall into it, and it's helpful if you prepare for that, if you know that that's going to happen, and sometimes it makes no sense. You think, well, what is it? It's not an anniversary of the death. It may be just something, a scent. You smelled cinnamon and that meant something. Something happened that reminded you of that experience, and you need to, that's okay. Not to hate yourself because you're not over it yet, which is...
You don't ever get over it because a piece of you is missing. I experienced that very recently when my dad died on the 10th of June.
Oh. Sorry.
that I will never be the same again. It's just not possible.
It's not possible.
He took a piece of me with him.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I try to go back to being my normal self, in quotes, I've come to realize that I will never go back to being that person again. Because he was such a big part of my life. There is no way.
It's very true. It's very true. I think that, when we fall into that, it's important to remember that there is good news. There are good things that happen on this planet. I know there are many horrific things that are happening all the time. And yet, if we can turn our attention to the positive, what can we do? What good news is there? And there are many sites online where one can find good information, happy information, information that's enlightening. Certainly TED Talks, or UC Berkeley has a wonderful site on being positive, mindfulness. That helps. It helps.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming online and sharing with us today. I sense your presence gives me peace. There is something very peaceful about your being. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I would just share that with you.
Thank you. And you as well, I must say. I have a new friend. Yay!
New Zealand. Yes. Thank you, Vanya. I'm hoping that whoever is out there, one of my listeners who's going through a similar experience, will take from today's podcasts your nuggets of wisdom. You will never be the same without your loved one, but life has to go on. And like you said, there's so much positive things happening in the world. The thing is to focus on the positive to be able to move on.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So much. Let's keep in touch.
Okay, great.
Bye.
Bye.